Coming up on Carolina News, Phase 1B starts Monday in South Carolina. See how DHEC plans to manage handling vaccines for 2.7 million people. And President Joe Biden plans to have vaccines for all adults sooner than you think.
This country will have enough vaccine supply, I'll say it again, for every adult in America.
And welcome home, Shane Beamer. Gamecocks football announced a special deal to tribute the new head coach and get fans back to Willie B. That and more next on Carolina News.
From the University of South Carolina, your news, your sports, your weather. Carolina News begins now.
Hello and welcome to Carolina News. I'm Spencer Buckler.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Carter. More than half of all South Carolinians are now eligible to receive the coronavirus vaccine.
Governor McMaster made that announcement yesterday, saying that the state would be moving to Phase 1B of the vaccination process.
Today, DHEC provided more details about the Phase 1 rollout. Our own Ward Jollis is live in the newsroom with more. Ward, what can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right, you guys. State epidemiologist Dr. Linda Bell and Senior Deputy for Public Health Nick Davidson briefed the public just an hour or so ago on details of the vaccine rollout now that individuals in Phase 1B qualify to get those shots. Above all else, they say despite millions of people now vying to get that vaccine, now's the right time to move forward.
That individuals should be able to make appointments starting Monday for vaccinations Monday and beyond.
Now that 2.5 million people in South Carolina can get their coronavirus vaccines, DHEC today giving details on how they'll make it happen. Those who now qualify for a shot in Phase 1B are those aged 55 and up, people aged 16 or older with increased risk for severe COVID-19 disease, and frontline workers with increased occupational risk. But people in Phase 1B, like Mary Beth Partika, are already struggling to get vaccine appointments.
The appointments were just going like that. That quickly.
She's from Charleston, and she's traveling over 100 miles to Columbia to get her shot.
We would try for one and couldn't get that one, and we were trying to get ones together because we're driving 100 miles.
But Dr. Bell says they're confident that DHEC can handle the increase in demand.
As we move into Phase 1B now, we will continue to carefully monitor access and the fair and equitable access to vaccine.
And state health officials today saying they're aware that there are some issues getting appointments scheduled, and that's because there's been some discrepancies with healthcare providers even allowing people in 1B to go ahead and schedule appointments because that rollout isn't technically supposed to start until Monday, and they want to make sure that they give remaining people in 1A a chance to get their vaccine. Live in the newsroom, Ward Jollis, Carolina News.
Thanks, Ward. Well, vaccine rollout may be underway, but West Columbia is still taking measures to keep its residents safe. The city is extending its mask ordinance for 2 more months. The council passed the extension during a meeting on Tuesday night, which requires face coverings in many city buildings. This is the 4th time the city has extended the ordinance, now set to end on May 1st.
COVID restrictions are easing up around the country as vaccinations are rolling out and more people are getting the vaccine. Texas and Mississippi are lifting the mask mandates and allowing businesses to open at full capacity, despite the concern from healthcare workers. The Mississippi order goes into effect today, while Texas will open next week. And it's been a rainy few weeks here in Columbia, but it's looking pretty nice out there today.
Yeah, that's right. Sydney Edwards is live outside the Kennedy Greenhouse studio. Is the sun going to stick around, Sydney?
Yes, fortunately, I'm not the only burst of sunshine you'll see today. Stay tuned to see if this weather is going to stay up next on Carolina News.
As some states start to roll back restrictions, there is some promising news out of the White House. Yesterday, President Joe Biden announced a partnership between Johnson & Johnson and pharmaceutical giant Merck. The president said that the two competitors will work together to produce J&J's single-dose COVID vaccine. He said this partnership means more Americans may get the shot in their arm before summer.
This country will have enough vaccine supply, I'll say it again, for every adult in America by the end of May.
The vaccine will begin being shipped to the states this week. President Biden added that this partnership is historic. and that the U.S. has not seen this level of collaboration since World War II.
It's been almost an entire year since the COVID-19 pandemic began, and with it, the shutdown of all major events. Carolina News reporter Olivia Countess is looking into the future of one favorite venue as restrictions lighten.
Are concerts coming back to Columbia? Governor Henry McMaster has lifted the 250-person event ban for the state. Columbia College student Summerlin Granger misses concerts and events, but now is more focused on being safe.
So it's definitely fun, but I also wouldn't jump back into it immediately just because this is lifted. Because, I mean, yeah, it's lifted, but that doesn't mean the threat isn't still there.
Local venues around Columbia have been selling limited tickets for their event. The Koger Center for the Arts started doing events again in December, with COVID precautions in mind. It's hard to imagine concerts going from just a few seats like this to an entire auditorium like this. But Koger's not ready to sell out every seat just yet. Marketing Director Chip Wade said that Koger has upped their cleaning process and is following CDC guidelines.
So the main thing is the safety of our patrons. We're not going to do anything that we don't think is going to promote safety. So this is great news, but it's a first step.
Koger is going to stick with capping their tickets and their improved COVID methods. But even with these precautions in place, not everyone is ready to head back inside auditoriums.
Keeping people at a safe distance, especially when you have normal things like people are leaving during the show to go to the bathroom, or people are going to get food, people are going to take their masks off constantly.
The Department of Commerce still encourages previous COVID safety guidelines, like limiting attendance to 50% of the event space. All employees and those in attendance should still wear face coverings, and organizers should follow social distancing and other CDC guidelines. For Carolina News, I'm Olivia Countess.
Venues like the Koger Center will be using live streams to accompany their continued limited seating.
13 people are dead after an SUV was hit by a semi-truck in Southern California. The Ford Expedition is meant to hold 8 people, but was packed with 25 people when it was struck by a semi-truck. The California Highway Patrol says they don't know why so many people were in the car, but that the seats in the back had been taken out. Everyone killed in the accident was the SUV. Several passengers remain in the hospital.
10 missiles hit an Iraq air base that houses both U.S. and Iraqi forces. It happened at the Ain al-Assad air base northwest of Baghdad. This is the same air base that Iran attacked last year after a U.S. drone strike killed Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani. There have been no reports of deaths or damage, but the rocket launcher was found in an agricultural area near the town of al-Baghdadi. It is not clear who carried out this latest attack. After that attack, Pope Francis said today he still plans to travel to Iraq later this week. The Pope plans to visit 6 cities over the span of 3 days. It's the first ever papal visit to the country. Francis said he would not disappoint the Iraqi people after Pope John Paul II canceled a visit there many years ago. There are worries about security as well as the potential for super spreader events.
As the pandemic continues on, there is still a greater need for medical supplies.
Coming up next on Carolina News, we'll tell you how one Columbia man turned that need into a business.